All right, let's get cozy and settle in and start discussing our fall knitting plans for this year. Hello and welcome either to or back to my channel. This is the first video that I'm sitting down and filming in my new space, so I'm really excited about that. If you're curious about why the background has changed, I did film kind of a tour of the space and talk about moving, so I'm settled now, loving it, and wanted to sit down today and talk about my fall knitting plans for this year. I am wearing one of my fall knits from last year. I think this is the most autumnal knit in my opinion. It's the Athens cardigan by Soup Knits in this beautiful rust color. It's knitting for olive merino, held with, in the colorway copper, held with drops, kid silk, alpaca, no, drops brushed alpaca in the colorway rust. So very, very autumnal knit. It is still in the 90s, so it's not really fall, but I'm going to pretend because it's back to school season and I had an apple crisp chai yesterday, so therefore it is fall, no matter what the weather says. And I wanted to sit down and talk about what I'm planning to make this season. I'm going to start with talking a little bit about my inspiration, and you'll have probably noticed if you've watched my videos before that I feel like every knitting plans video I have progressively less and less things on my plans, so we'll talk about that too, but let's get into it. So for inspiration this season, I am calling my fall a storybook fall. I'm specifically drawing a lot of inspiration from Winnie the Pooh, like the 100-Acre Wood, Frog and Toad, Beatrice Potter characters, just all the cozy children's stories where it's animals being friends in the woods. That is how I want to feel this fall. That isn't exactly a fashion inspiration or a attire inspiration, but I think that the spirit of just a cozy, slow, sweet fall is what I really want. So I'll have some of my inspiration images up, but just calm, all, taking nice naps under patchwork quilts, living in a tree or underneath a tree. I'm not going to do that, obviously, but the spirit of living underneath a tree and just making a really cozy space for myself and just being really cozy myself. The 100-Acre Wool with leaves falling down and all this great kind of stuff is what I'm looking for this season. I have some non-storybook inspiration of, wonderfully done colorwork socks and autumnal colorways and little fun crafts that are autumnal of squirrels and things, and just being cozy is the vibe though overall, or being in a field with a comforter. That sounds nice. Reading a book, reading Narnia, all these kinds of fun, cozy, slow things are what I'm looking for this fall. So that kind of plays into part of why my inspiration or my plans are lighter, which we will get into more, but just bringing the spirit of cozy, calm, happy outside this fall. The color palette I'm drawing from, it's a lot of kind of muted primary or secondary colors, as far as like a sage green or like a copper or some yellows, like just kind of those faded colors that you see a lot in storybooks, where like there's still a pretty simple color palette of, Winnie the Pooh being yellow and wearing a red shirt, but then they're kind of muted in color just because they're kind of got this watercolor quality. So kind of going for like watercolor, simple watercolor palette, I guess. But I'm not constricting myself to a certain palette. You'll see I have some yarn already in the colorways that I'm planning on knitting with, and I'll talk about others, but it's not all, a defined palette that kind of screams fall like this sweater does in a rust color. It's more just watercolor. I like that description of like a watercolor vibe. for the colors I'm choosing this season, which I think is the colors I choose every season, but still feels special. So that's a little bit about my inspiration. I will say I have 5 things on this list, and 2 of them are maybes, and that is just because I don't want to feel overwhelmed or stressed about getting through my plans. Life lately has been full of so many great things, and that's wonderful, but it has meant less time for knitting. My job's really busy. I'm trying to get outside more, see more friends. So all of those are great things, but it does leave me less time for knitting. And so I am just every season reducing my knitting plans list by a little bit more so that it feels a little bit more achievable and I can really focus my energy where I want to. And of course, all of this could change. You know, I could see a design tomorrow and be like, I need this, or every fall my knitting mojo really does pick up because the season starts to feel like sweater time, and so I want sweaters. So I'll probably knit a little bit more this season than I did over the summer, but still, I'm just being mindful of that. And if I do more than this list, that's awesome, which I likely will, because this my knitting plans list doesn't include samples I've signed up for already, or gifts that I might plan, or the monthly socks I make. So this is just kind of like what I'm deeming as my fall essentials, but these aren't the only things I'll be knitting for the next few months. So I feel like that's a lot of disclaimers before getting into it, but let's talk about it. So the first thing that is the highest priority on my knitting plans list for this fall is to make a second sample of the sweater design I made. So I made the first design in the summer, and it's a lovely sweater. Actually, I have it. Let me grab it. Okay, here's the sweater I designed over the summer. Actually, while I was traveling, I have a full video about designing this if you are interested in seeing more about it, but it's a V-neck raglan with a double thick, double knit, or double 2x2 rib neckline. And then it's got split hem on the bottom, also 2x2 rib, and then just nice tapered sleeves with 2x2 rib. And I really enjoyed making this sweater. I was making it while I was traveling and am writing up the pattern and want to make another sample for my mom. So I actually already have the yarn coming for this. I myself ordered some of the Salty Blonde Fiber Enchanted colorway to knit it in. Well, my mom bought the yarn since I am making this sweater for her, but I'll knit it in that and then pair that with a Suri this time. So this was just knit in a DK weight yarn on its own. The colorway on this one is by Poppy and Spruce Fibers. On her beautiful birch DK base, it's a non-superwash DK, and it's so soft, it's merino, and the colorway is Hey There Sporgus. It's beautiful. I love the sweater, and I want to make another so that I can release it as a pattern. So I have that yarn coming. It's a beautiful purple and pinky colorway. It's based off of the Flatirons Near Me, a mountain feature at, I think I originally said sunset, but at sunrise, that's when they get hit with the morning light. And so very excited about that. And that is a high priority plan for me. I need to get a Suri to pair with it because I ordered fingering weight and will hold like a nice purple or pink Suri with it to get a DK weight. So I'm excited to try this pattern that I've written up at a different yarn combination and in a different size. So high priority plan because I do want to get going on like a test knit if I am going to release it, and so I can release it when it's still kind of relevant to knit and be able to wear. So working on that, and I'm very excited about it. The next plan that I have for this season is to make a stripe pipe sweater. So this is a pattern by Veronica Lindberg, and I actually bought the pattern like a year ago at this point, and I've really wanted to make it for a long time. It's just a really nice striped sweater, but I think the thing that's unique about this, and you could do this with any striped pattern, but Veronica specifically has instructions on how to kind of divide the stripes. So you have like a cream or whatever color you want, but there's one main color throughout that is typically like a cream or a white. You could do gray, whatever you want. Neutral color, basically. And then there's different sections with different colors of stripes. And so I think it's just really funky and fun. And I want to make one. And I think that this is the epitome of like my storybook Winnie the Pooh 100 Acre Wool garment. You'll see with the colors I've chosen. I think it's going to make me have all the feels about storybook fall. So these are the colors I have so far for it. I need to buy one more ball of Merino or of Knitting for All of Merino or something, and I'm thinking maybe in like a grayish brown colorway. But I have these 3 colors, or 4, these 4 colors right now to knit up my stripes with, and just need one more plus the kind of main neutral color. And so 3 of these are Knitting for All of Merino. This is the Dusty Artichoke color that's very popular, a lovely kind of sagey green. I have Dusty Aqua, which is a lovely blue. Copper, which is what I'm wearing right now, but lovely color. And then this is from Salty Blonde Fine Fibers. It is her Prairie base, and I don't remember the name of the colorway, but it was one of her spring summer tonals, and it's just beautiful. It's this nice honey yellow, and so I think it pairs really nicely with all of these colors, and it's gonna feel like a little Winnie the Pooh sweater. I don't know, that's what it keeps reminding me of, or 100 Acre Wool sweater. 100 Acre Wool is actually so cute for a name of the sweater. It's 100 Acre Wood, but this is wool, so my 100 Acre Wool sweater. So I need to still get my last color. Like I said, I'm thinking kind of a grayish brown of some kind. But I'm just going to go to my local yarn store and pick up a ball. I'm going to bring these with me and pick up my last ball of that, my contrast color, and then also probably buy all the main color while I'm there. So I'm really excited about that. The pattern is a DK weight, and these are all fingering, so I'll just have to hold everything double, but that is fine. That is expected. A lot of people do that to be able to use the huge palette of the Knitting for All of Merino. So I'm not the only one that's done it that way, and I'm really excited about that pattern. It feels like a really fun fall garment. I've wanted it for a really long time, and for some reason it's just really like the epitome of the way I want to feel this fall, with just this kind of casual stripe, like kind of a bit of whimsy. Stripes always feel like a little childish to me, like that's why I don't normally wear them. But I want that. I want to have this like kind of storybook striped shirt, striped sweater feeling. And I know I'm getting really dramatic over like stripes on a sweater. It's not like childish, but it's just, I don't know, it feels more nostalgic or like childlike. And I'm not insulting stripes. If you wear stripes every day, I think they're also wonderful. They just remind me more of like being a kid than, you know, a neutral or a uniform color piece. But that's just my own perception. But yeah, I'm just excited for that reason to have this garment and have my 100 Acre Wool sweater, which, what a cute play on words. So that was a lot of talking about one sweater. My next project I'm very excited about. So I have wanted to make the triangulum blanket for a long time, and I did not write down the designer's name. And I don't have Wi-Fi right now. The Wi-Fi at my new house has been really bad lately, and so I can't really look a lot up. So normally I feel like I would look things up for you and tell you what everything is, but I can't access the internet. But the triangulum blanket, it's a wonderful pattern of these squares that are paired together. I'll have pictures up. And so I've owned that pattern for a while and wanted to do it with all my scraps, and was thinking, oh, like a fun fall pattern or a fun winter kind of Christmas time pattern that would be fun to work on. But I really want it this fall, and especially I saw this photo from someone on Ravelry who's working on a project with it. I'll insert the picture of the project, and I will look up the username to give credit, but they had essentially taken the blanket pattern and turned it into kind of a quilt look. And so a lot of it's white or a neutral color, but they have little blocks of color to make these star patterns. And I think it's stunning like that. I think like that's such a fun way to look at this pattern and use it to make these little quilt motifs throughout. And so I really want to do that. And so I went stash diving to do so. And so I'll have a picture up of all the colors, but I'll quickly show a lot of them too. My thinking here is I've chosen a lot of pinks and purples and greens from my stash. And I kind of want to, it's not going to be the perfect fade, but I want to fade from one corner of this like olive green to ending at the end with like a super kind of pinky pink. So I actually, this is the color I want to end with. It's this pinky pink that I got actually last Halloween at one of my favorite local yarn stores, Lula Faye. They were doing trick-or-treating, which was so cute. And so I came in and they gave out little mini skeins to everyone that was there and made a purchase. And so this is Cowgirl Blues yarn, and it's from one of their advents, and it's just a fingering weight 75-25 sock yarn. So I want to end with that because I feel like it's just a nice pinky pink. And I want to start with this, which Kepler got a hold of, but it's just a very kind of olive green, and it's from Apothecary Fiber Co. From when I sample knit for her. Or actually, I think there was another colorway. Oh, this as well is from Apothecary Fiber Co. And it's a super, super olivey green. So I'll probably start with that and then kind of fade out from that into more neutral, purpley, blue shades of green. Like, you know, I've got this color and I've got this purple that I'll eventually fade to. This is from Poppy and Spruce Fibers. I've got, oh my gosh, I've got so many things in here. I've got this from the Yarn Addict, which is leftover from a pair of socks I made. Just lots of leftovers. I'll throw in this yarn, which is from Salty Blonde Fibers. This is her Tea in the Garden colorway. And so I'll be able to kind of fade up another Yarn Addict colorway with all of my scraps. This is from Hedgehog Fibers Dune. Just, yeah, fade them. Cashmere, sock yarn from Rainbow Peak Fibers. Fade them all together and make hopefully a pretty cohesive quilt. I mean, it's all going to have like a nice cream background, so it'll look good together. Another green, which is a very nice sage green. That's a Malabrigo yarn. So yeah, I have 20 different colors in here that I will fade up to. I just used this yarn, for instance, and it's nice because it's got greens and purples, so it will help get towards that pink end because it's got green, purple, and pink in it. And so I'm going from green to like bluish greens and purples on each side, and then I can go towards pinks. So I'll have a picture of the layout to hopefully explain that better, but I'm feeling really excited about getting into this quilt. I need to buy the background yarn, otherwise I probably would have already started it. But I can't really make quilt squares without like one of the main colors. And so I need to buy that. I decided there's two different weights for this pattern. There's a fingering weight version and there's a DK weight version. And I decided to do the DK weight version and just hold double when I need. So that I could use a lot of my DK weight yarn as well. And for the fact that it'll go a little bit faster. So I'm really excited about that. And I don't know exactly when I'm going to cast it on. I have a lot. I have a lot of things to make outside of this list too. And I'm trying to wrap up some summer knits too, but I feel really excited about it. And I think it's going to be a nice kind of mindless project. I'll probably start it in the fall, and I probably will not finish it until maybe next year, 2025. Just, I think it's going to take a long time, and I think I'm going to have like peaks of motivation and then lose a lot of it. So I don't know, maybe I'll be able to finish it up around Christmas, but I feel really inspired to start it. I think because I've moved and I'm in this new space, I really want to add something I've made to the daybed I'm sitting on right now, so I could have the quilt blanket kind of here. And so feeling inspired by that. So I'm at least going to start it and I really want to do that. So those three are my definite plans of like, I really, really want to do these, at least start them this season. The other two things I have on this list are potentials. If I have time, I would really love to do these things. It's just a matter of, do I take on a lot of sample knits? Am I on a really busy work season? Am I traveling suddenly when I don't expect to? Am I enjoying the weather? And so I'm not sure where my motivation will lie. So these are kind of my my little extra treats. So if I feel like it, I've thought these through, I have or will have yarn for them shortly, and they're on my list at some point. It's just a matter of, do I want to do them this season or at some point in the future? So the first one was actually on my fall knitting plans for last year. So this was my part of my 2023 fall knitting plans, and I didn't make it at that time because I got the yarn for it. So this is the yarn. I'll talk about it in a second, what the pattern is and the names of the yarns. But so I ended up not making this last fall, this sweater that I'm going to talk about, because I was wondering if Laura Penrose was going to have this design come out that I would have wanted to test knit or just knit up. She calls it her apple door sweater, and it's a nice like cross kind of lattice pattern sweater. I think it's beautiful. But so then I wanted to save it to see if, she might have a test knit call, and then I could have a sweater quantity and be ready for that, or be ready to knit it when it did come out, if I didn't make that test knit or she didn't have a public call. So I decided to save it at the time, but it's been a year now, and that call still hasn't come. I think it might come at some point, but if it did, like I can get different yarn. Yarn exists, and I still do really want my initial planned sweater, which was the cardamom sweater by Twin Knits. So here's a picture of it. I really like the sweater. I think it's really well designed. Like there's a nice shoulder detail where the broken rib follows the shoulder. I think that's beautiful. It's a drop shoulder pattern in all over broken rib, and just beautiful. I know I love broken rib, and I think that this sweater would fit really well. It has a built-in split hem, and I love a split hem, so I still want to make it, and I still want to pair these two yarns together to do so. And so this is the Suri that I'm planning on using. It is by Zakami yarns, and the colorway is the Akashic Records. I think that's how you say it. Akashic Records. I think it's Akashic Records. It'll be written down below if I'm pronouncing it completely wrong, but it was from their collection called The Door a year ago, and it's a typical brushed Suri with a silk core yarn. And so I'm going to hold this with KnitPicks Palate in the colorway Almond. So this is a fingering weight, nice. It's more of a Highland wool. Yeah, it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And so I'll pair these two together. It'll be a nice, warm, cozy, very autumnal colors with this kind of burnt orange in there and a little bit of purple, like a dark plum almost. So this will be very autumnal if I do decide to knit it this fall, which is kind of why I want to knit it this season. Because I like to knit a garment that I'm like, oh, this is of the season, you know, I made this last year, and so would like to make that this year maybe. So we shall see if I get around to it. I'm not going to pressure myself, but it would be nice. I've thought about that sweater for a year now, so we'll see. And then the last thing on my plans for this season is the Luca sweater, or Luca sweater. Gosh, I'm horrible about looking up pronunciations before I try to say things. But again, I can't look it up and check for you. So I think it's Luca. Leica? I know it's not Leica. Luca sweater. I think it's the Luca sweater by Sari Nordlund. It's a beautiful pattern. It really reminds me of Charlie Brown for some reason. I think it's a pretty clear reason. I feel like there's one character that has kind of this zigzag striped sweater. So I always think of Charlie Brown when I see the Lucca sweater, but I love it regardless. And it fits into the Storybook fall with like, I guess Charlie Brown isn't a storybook, but kind of that like kids, older cartoon, like simple thing fits in my mind with like Winnie the Pooh and those kinds of things. So I love the pattern. I own it already. And I just finished sample knitting for Pasley Knits, and Pasley Knits gives yarn compensation when you sample knit. And so I have 4 skeins pending from Pasley Knits. And so I think that's enough for a sweater plus the extra I have left over. I want to use one of the colorways that I sample knit with. And so I think between what I have left from sample knitting, which should be enough for the contrast color stripes, I can then get 4 balls of the main color and make a beautiful sweater. I don't know what the other color will be yet. I haven't decided, and she has a whole bunch of colorways being released right now for a collection, which is why I sample knit. And so I'm not sure, what will come out under that I'll really love, but it'll be a tonal, 2 tonals. The tonal that I want to work with for a contrast color is a nice kind of lighter green. I don't want to say too much or insert a picture because it hasn't been shown yet, but it's a lighter green. And so we'll see what I want to pair it with. But I'm excited, and it's definitely on my plans for some point soon. We'll just see if it happens this season or not. But I'm going to get yarn for it and plan that. And if it really strikes me to make it this season, I will. If it doesn't, or I don't have time, even if I would really love to make it, I won't. And that's okay either way. So yeah, that's my very short list of fall plans. I will say, as I've said before, this season, I'm counting fall for me as September through November. And so in that 3-month period, I'll make 4 pairs of socks because I still need to catch up on my 12 and 12 socks. So I will make like 4 pairs of socks in that time. I already have agreed to do a sample knit for Ryan from Salty Blonde Fibers, and life is busy. So I think you'll see a lot of knitting from me. You'll see a lot of other things from me, other crafting as well. I'm trying to get more into watercolors, and I just bought a paint by numbers, and I'm embroidering something right now. And so I want to show off more of that as well. But you will see a lot from me this season, even if there's only 5 things on my knitting plans list. But I'm really excited to craft this season. As always, fall is like the coziest time of year. It's my favorite time of year. And I know that's very cliche, and I feel like every knitter loves fall, but it's our season. I can feel like my personality, fully coming back and like getting excited for fall drinks. And I know you can drink a fall drink anytime, but getting excited for the fall drinks and going to the pumpkin patch and just wearing cute outfits. I don't like summer at all. I'm always too warm. Winter is nice, it's fine, but I'm always a little nervous around snow driving or ice driving, even though I grew up in Colorado and I should be used to it. Still makes me nervous. And so fall, I feel like, is really my season. And so I'm really, really excited, especially this year. We have a maple right out front. It's like a flame tip maple. And so it's going to be so beautiful. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of trees now. And so it's going to be a beautiful fall. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to share what I make. And it's a great season to come. So I hope you're enjoying the last little bit of summer, and I hope you're excited for fall. Let's celebrate it together. I'll be back next week for a podcast. And so, yeah, in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you're having a good one, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.